Loki Season 2, Episode 1 was chaotic, but in a good way. This season picks up right where the events of Season 1 left us, and right from the first shot, this episode starts fast. It throws you right into where the story has left us, and it doesn't really take its foot off the gas until we get to the end of the episode. There's this constant sense of urgency throughout the entire thing, and the whole episode feels very frantic and chaotic. It does a really good job of making you feel just how dire and just how chaotic things are at the TVA following the events of Season 1. And because the episode is non-stop from start to finish, it leads to something that feels not too short, but an episode that feels like it just flew by. Like, I genuinely got to the end of this episode and felt like I could have been watching for another 10-15 minutes, but the whole thing just breezes by because it's so nonstop from start to finish. There's a new team working on Loki Season 2 than Season 1, and you can definitely feel that. The way the camera is filming some of these scenes, it feels a lot more like you're kind of on the ground with the character, where there's a lot of shots where they put you in the character's perspective, so you feel like you're kind of walking around the room as one of the people there. And for some people, this might be a little bit jarring because it can feel so drastically different to what Season 1 was. But for me personally, I thought this worked really well. It felt more chaotic. It felt more unstable when you actually feel like you're in the room and the camera's kind of moving around. I actually thought that added to the sense of just chaos and instability that you really want to feel because of what's happening at the TVA. Even some of the conversations between characters feels different than it did in Season 1. You get to hear a lot of the TVA workers start talking for the first time. We're just kind of sitting there like, oh, you never said a word in Season 1, but they're actually having dialogue this time around. And even some of the serious conversations in here can get very tense, where you feel like it's something pulled straight out of one of the more serious paranoia thriller movies in the MCU, and it's kind of inserted here into Season 2. At the same time, the show still does retain a lot of the things that made Season 1 so funny, specifically that humor and dialogue between Loki, Mobius, and now even with the new character of Obi, played by Ke Huy Quan. A lot of their interactions still have that quirky style that we got used to in Season 1, where you have a lot of funny moments between the three of them, just kind of bantering back and forth about some of these chaotic situations they're in. Obviously, Obi being the new character, he's probably the standout in this episode. He just brings such a nice level of charm and charisma to the character. But what differentiates this from Season 1 is those interactions are now happening on the fly. A lot of those take place as the characters are moving around between rooms, as they're moving in elevators, because there really is no time for pausing and sitting around and talking in this episode, because it's just going from start to finish. It's really moving at a breathless pace, so there's a lot less of those sit-down conversations and more of the jokes kind of happening as the characters are going from one place to another. The show can also be very clever in how it introduces some neat concepts like time slipping, where it incorporates them in a way that's actually very entertaining. Like in this episode, we kind of get to see how Loki time slipping between different points in the past and future, and how those two different points in time can kind of affect each other. The way the show does it makes for a lot of funny, entertaining moments where it's having conversations that are continuing between the past and the future at the same time, and that makes for a very entertaining thing with the way they're kind of introducing these concepts. The only thing I didn't really love about this episode was probably the ending, where it can feel a little bit abrupt. What Loki Season 1 did a very good job of was every episode felt like it had a big climax that still teased and left you wondering what's going to happen in the next episode. Whereas this one feels like it kind of just stops itself in the middle of the action that's going on, where you feel very much like they've just paused it and we're going to pick things right back up next week. So the ending can feel a little bit abrupt here. Overall, though, I thought this was a very good first episode. It felt urgent, it had tension, and overall, what I really want the show to have is stakes and to feel like it matters, and that's exactly what episode 1 did. So much of the MCU projects as of lately have kind of felt like filler, and this one feels like it matters. It feels like it's going to be important for where the MCU is going, and that's why I think it's exciting, because we all want to see what's going to happen week to week, what's going to be the big reveals, how is this going to affect the MCU going forward, and so that's what this show is doing a really good job of so far. But let me know what your thoughts on the episode were down in the comment section below. Leave a like, subscribe to the channel for some more videos, and until next time, thanks for watching.